Hello ladies and gentlemen, today's video is about how to quickly hook your audience and not end up in a room full of emptiness by freeway. And especially for public speaking, these couple of tips will help keep your audience engaged instead of waiting like a stone. Right, so I'm going to give you an example of a speech, and I want you to pay attention to what I did and how I used the voice to express myself.
Pretty please, just give us an example.
Okay, so here's an example of how to start a presentation or a speech. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much. Now, before I begin this presentation, I'd like to ask the audience a question, a fun little question. Okay, so has anybody here ever woken up next to a stranger? Hang on. I hear a couple of giggles there. Woken up next to a stranger licking your face. Yes, you heard me right. Licking your face. Anybody? Nobody? You, sir? What's your name? John, brave man, John. I totally want to hear your story. Hey, I never said I went through it myself. I was just asking. Ladies and gentlemen, a big round of applause for John, the man who was licked awake by a stranger. So anyway, back to my story. I actually woke up on the roof of a house being licked by a goat. Aha. Now, it's probably not as interesting as John's story, but you're probably wondering, how did I end up on a roof of a house? Okay, so in that example, I used a very simple technique, which was just to ask the audience a bizarre question, which is to get people to imagine or relate to things, in this case, licked by a stranger. Like what?
Like that totally sounds so creepy and disgusting.
I also attempted to have a conversation with a member of the audience, which is a bonus if you get to do so, and then I praised him for being brave. And I also asked the audience to applaud him, which gets people involved. Now, I personally like to approach public speaking like it's a show, so do bring a lot of enthusiasm and excitement to share on stage, and your audience will feel it in your voice and see it in your body language. Now, in the next example, I'm going to use an interesting fact to start the speech. I'd like to begin today by asking the audience, has anybody heard of a group of 170 million people called the Untouchables? A show of hands if you've heard of this. Okay, so nobody. Okay, so the Untouchables were a caste of people in India deemed the lowest of the low. Now, it's not that you were not allowed to touch them. It's more of that society likened them to dirt and filth, as they did work that was deemed filthy, such as toilet cleaning and sweeping and whatnot, and therefore should not be touched by other people outside of their caste. They were also known as the Dalit people. So in that example, the idea is to use interesting information or facts to keep the audience engaged. So I hope you've enjoyed this episode, and until the next one, I'll be waiting. Like a star.